This video is going to be a bit different. It's been a while since I posted, and today I'm pulling back the curtain to explain why. Instead of our usual skill building or project deep dives, I'm sharing some direct career advice for those of you working in IT. We'll be talking about the real value of certifications, how AI fits into the picture, and what's coming next. This is also my very first dual release across both Penguin Tutor and Penguin Fortress. Check the chapters below to navigate the sections most relevant to you, and let's get started. So the biggest reason for my absence lately is that I've been deep in study mode and I've been working towards and recently achieved a new certification, the ISACA AAISM, which stands for Advanced in AI Security Management. Preparing for this was intense. It ended up taking up a massive amount of my free time and pulling me away from my usual hobbies, which meant a lot less time for tinkering with Raspberry Pi home servers or electronics projects. It was a serious time commitment, but looking back on the knowledge I've gained, it was absolutely worth the effort. Before I dive into the details of what this new AI certification actually covers, I want to zoom out and talk about IT certification in general, especially in cybersecurity. A lot of people ask if they are really worth the time, the money, and the stress. Looking at my own career, my perspective has actually changed over the years. When I first started out, I had a master's degree, but it was not in computer science. It was actually in electronic engineering. Still, that was enough to land my first job at IBM, working in computer networking as a system programmer. So, here's my first piece of advice. Don't count yourself out if your degree doesn't perfectly match the job description. Early in my career, I picked up certs like the IBM Certified Advanced Technical Expert and LPIC Level 2. They look great on a CV, but honestly, back then I always felt that practical, hands-on experience carried much more weight than the paper did. But as you move through your career, things shift. I went back for a second master's, this time in computer science, which I completed in 2017. It was an incredible learning experience, and it really rekindled my interest in cybersecurity, which is a field I'd worked in years prior. But when I decided to actively transition back to a dedicated cyber role, I hit a wall. My previous cybersecurity experience was from a long time ago, and I needed a way to prove to recruiters that my knowledge was current. And that's when I decided to tackle the CISSP, or CISSP. It's one of the most reputable certs in the industry, and here is a key takeaway I want to emphasise. The CISSP wasn't a mandatory requirement for the jobs I was applying for, but I firmly believe that having those letters on my CV was the deciding factor that moved my applications from the reject pile straight to the interview pile. It didn't do the interview for me, but it got me in the room. In cybersecurity especially, certifications are often the key to getting past the CV filter. And that brings me to today. I didn't spend the last few months studying for this ISACA AI certification because I'm looking to change jobs. I did it because AI is causing a massive shift in our industry right now. In IT, if you aren't continually learning, you're falling behind. Sometimes pursuing a certification isn't about getting a new job. It's about forcing yourself to systematically learn and understand the next big wave. If you're thinking about pursuing either of these, I want to give you a realistic idea of what to expect. Both exams were stressful, but in different ways. With the CISSP, the main challenge is simply the sheer volume of content. It's an absolute marathon. I self-studied for that one, spending about 9 months watching videos and reading through the official study guide, which is a beast at over 1,000 pages. The difficulty is just trying to retain that massive amount of information across so many different domains all at once. The ISACA AI certification was a very different experience. I spent about 5 months studying for it, and this time I actually attended the official ISACA course. The volume of material was smaller, but the real challenge was that the official course and the book simply didn't cover all the information you needed to pass. That makes preparing incredibly tricky. It becomes a challenge of figuring out what else you need to go out and learn, and trying to gauge when you're actually ready to sit the test. The official practice exams were helpful for spotting my blind spots, but honestly, the actual exam still felt different again. But there was one major, often frustrating thing both of these exams have in common: the ambiguous questions. You'll get scenarios asking for the best or the most appropriate action, and in the real world, the answer isn't always obvious. To pass these, you realise quickly that you can't just memorise the content. You have to learn the exam board's mindset and understand how they want you to answer the questions. It's also worth noting that the AI exam isn't an entry-level certification. It has CISSM, CISM, or in my case, the CISSP as a prerequisite. So getting through it relied heavily on that previous foundation and my real-world experience, not just the AI material itself. So how does all this studying tie into the future of my YouTube channels? Let's start with Penguin Fortress, my dedicated cybersecurity channel. If you're subscribed over there, you'll probably notice a big gap in uploads between when I finished my CISSP and when I started tackling the AAISM. There is a specific reason for that. I actually use the content creation as a form of revision. In fact, I originally started Penguin Fortress specifically to reinforce what I was learning for the CISSP. I've recently put out a batch of new videos over there covering AAISM topics. I want to be completely transparent about these. I used an AI voice to narrate them. When you're deep in study mode, doing the audio recording and editing yourself is incredibly time consuming, and the AI voice was just a much more efficient workflow. But I want to be clear that the content itself is my own, built directly out of my revision notes to help me prepare for the exam. I'm going to be taking a short break from Penguin Fortress just to recharge after the exam. But when I come back, you're going to see a slight shift in the content. Moving forward, I want to align the channel much more closely to my actual day job, where I manage governance, risk and compliance, or GRC. So expect to see a lot more focus on practical risk management alongside content around penetration testing. And finally, that brings us to my main channel, Penguin Tutor. For those who may be new, this is primarily a maker channel, covering electronics, computer science and everything in between. Whether that's the nitty-gritty of getting my Raspberry Pi home server working, or building projects that combine physical electronic interfaces with programming to really make the magic happen. Even though I haven't been publishing much content here lately, that definitely doesn't mean that the tools have been put away. I've actually been taking advantage of our rare, dry British spring to get outside and work on my outdoor model railway. It had been neglected for a while, so I've been giving it a major revamp, and I've been learning a lot along the way. So you can look out for some new videos on that soon. Alongside the railway builds, I'm also planning to put together some more practical hands-on guides, particularly around troubleshooting and how to properly take measurements with a multimeter and other devices. If any of that sounds up your alley, then make sure you hit that subscribe button on Penguin Tutor so you don't miss out. Thanks for sticking with me through this update, and I'll see you in the next project. So that is a snapshot of where I've been and where both channels are heading next. There's one common thread between studying for an advanced AI security exam and rewiring a model railway in the garden is that it all comes down to continuously learning and keeping that curiosity alive. Whether you're pushing for your next career milestone in IT or just tinkering with electronics at the weekend, I hope you're finding time to build and learn too. I'd love to hear what you've been working on while I've been away. Are you grinding through any certifications right now or building a new project? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you in a future video.